So welcome everyone, this is my video teacher meet and greet meeting. The purpose of this meeting had 3 points to it. The first is I really wanted to get to know you, but since this is a video, that's not going to happen. You're just going to get to know me. I want to talk to you about a few points of classroom management and things that have to do with YogaWorks. And the third point is I want to go over my 3-year plan with you. So here we begin. So what's really awesome about my job here is that I get all of the feedback about all of the teachers. So I get to read all of the little ballots that they turn in at the studios, any emails that come through, studio managers send them my way. And what you should know is that 90% of all the feedback is that the students absolutely love you. They think our teachers are amazing, they love the class, it's transformative, like they love you. But 10% of the feedback is stuff that's sort of critical, that's information that we can grow from, that we can use to make ourselves better. So I want to share that information with you. And some of the comments fall into a few categories. So one of the main complaints that we get is that the temperature is not as advertised. It's too hot, it's not hot enough. So YogaWorks has some guidelines for that. And basically a not hot class is 70 to 79 degrees. A warm class is 80 to 89 degrees, and a hot class is 90 to 99 degrees or above. What you need to know about that is that if your class is not as advertised, we need to make it truthful. So maybe if a student's complaining it's too hot and it's supposed to be warm and it's really in the 90s, then we need to adjust, use a thermostat, make sure that it's the temperature that we say it is so the students are happy. If your class is warm and it's supposed to be non-hot, but the students are loving it, then it may be that we need to change the name of the class to a warm class so that it's truthful. So when I get complaints or if I take a class, I'll always take into account whether that's what's going on or not, and we'll make adjustments as necessary. The second thing that we get complaints about is that the class level is not as advertised. So what you need to know about beginner level classes is that they still always have to be beginner level. Even if you have advanced students in your class, you can't change what you're offering based on the level of the students. And the purpose of a beginner class is always to make sure that every student who comes in, if they have zero knowledge of yoga, they feel like, oh, I could totally do this. So you want to make sure that you're presenting information in a way that is to someone who has never ever heard it before, who has no idea where to put their feet or their hands, who has no idea how to breathe, and that you teach to that level. Also, as a beginner teacher, you're not going to hold on to your students. Your goal is to send them off into a level 2 class eventually. And it's really lovely when you make suggestions. Like you could say, hey, Jessica, you're really coming along in your practice. You may want to try Japanese level 2 class, or try one of Keith's classes. This is a really great way for you to let your students know that you're noticing how they're doing, that you're seeing their progress, and that you're helping them in their yoga path as they move forward. So the third thing that we get complaints about is cleanliness of the studio or the bathrooms. And although it's not your job to clean the studio in any way, shape, or form, you do need to let people know. So if you notice that there's like something that needs to be swept up on the floor, let the greeter know, let your studio manager know. If the bathrooms are disgusting, you're out of toilet paper, just please be a messenger so that we can take care of the studio in a way that really serves the students. Another complaint we get that is not frequent, and I do have to mention it because if you're the one that's being complained about, you're going to want to know, it's the body odor of the teacher. So don't be stinky. If you're not sure if you smell, ask a friend or do a smell fee. But make sure that when you're coming in close to students that you're not giving them more than you anticipate. So please check your body odor. I only say it because we have gotten complaints, not recently, not frequently, but it's good to know. The last complaint, which I think is probably the most serious and one that we really need to do something about in our studios and in our culture, is classes not ending on time. This really pisses people off. You have no idea. They have places to go, they have things to do, and when they're let out 5-10 minutes late, it totally freaks up their whole day. So this is something we need to shift as a culture, and the good news is that we can change it because starting and ending on time is a skill set. The way that I want you to think about this is being late is really stealing. In the same way that if a student was in Shavasana, you wouldn't go over to their purse and take $5 out, and if you heard of someone doing that, you'd be like, oh my God, how could they do that? That's awful. And the reason that seems awful and taking someone's time doesn't is because culturally, we have laws against it. So culturally, you could be arrested, you could go to jail if you take someone's money. Everyone recognizes that as stealing. Taking someone's time is also stealing, but we just don't have laws against it, or all the doctors would be in jail. But it is stealing, and we need to practice finishing on time. So what that looks like is you are teaching in class, that's really great. You have 1 minute left till the end of class, and you do your namaste, you om out, and your students have literally 1 minute left to roll up their mat, to say thank you, to wipe off. You can make an announcement, and that is finishing on time. It's not going 1 minute over, 2 minutes over. So how do we develop this skill set? There's a couple of ways. So the first thing you can do is set a timer with a chime to go off maybe 15 minutes before the end of class, and then you know, okay, I gotta start my cool down. I'm gonna get my students on the ground, we'll start stretching out, we'll start relaxing, and then maybe it goes off again with 5 minutes left, and you know absolutely they have to be in Shavasana. If that doesn't work, maybe your music's loud, you don't hear the chime, maybe you forget to set it, what we can do is enlist greeters to help you. So we could have a greeter come up to the door, 10 minutes left, be like, right? And they get it, you're like, I got it. And then they go back, and then 5 minutes left, they're like, you got it, go. And then when class is over, that greeter can actually open the door so that students know class is over and they can leave. I had someone ask, well, isn't it a gift if I give them 10 extra minutes of yoga? Like, why is that stealing and not a gift? And my response was, because you haven't asked their permission, and because you don't know. And the truth is, your students love you. They're never going to tell you that they're pissed off at you because you went late. And if you really want to give them a gift, then you should finish on time and give them $5. And that is the gift that you could give them. So please work on this. Consider it a skill set that is worthy of owning, worthy of being part of your practice, so that if we had someone come and say, listen, can you give a 37-minute class? You can say, absolutely. I can totally do 37 minutes, not a problem. So that we start and finish and we're truthful. So the class is exactly as long. If your class starts late, it still needs to end on time. If you are a person who checks in your own class, you're a greeter, still start on time. Check the door 5 minutes in. Your students will learn they have to be there on time, as opposed to knowing they can get in when they're 5 minutes late and you'll still be there and the class will be held up. So really, please try and work on this. This is something I want YogaWorks to become known for, so that they can be like, oh yeah, you got something after? No, you'll be totally out. They never keep you late. They're always on time. So I want us to really identify with this. If you have questions, if you have problems, please enlist my help. I want to help you succeed. I want to help you serve your students, and I'm here to help you. Okay, so I want to talk to you about these white no-touch chips. These are a really awesome thing that YogaWorks has, and we need to make a habit of talking about them at the beginning of class. So we've had a few instances where teachers have gone in for an amazing assist, and then the student says, I have a no-touch chip, or I have a white chip, or they find out later when the student writes a complaint that they had a no-touch chip and they received a physical assist. And the problem is that sometimes the students are putting them back with their stuff or in between their blocks. So if you make an announcement at the beginning of class, it basically educates our students so they know how to use them. So what I say is, welcome everyone, we have these awesome white poker chips, and what these signify is that you do not want to receive physical assists. We love when you put them right in the front of your mat so that we can see them. Please don't hide them back with your stuff or among the blocks. And we love when you use these because these help us give us the class that you want. These just tell us not to touch you. We'll only give you verbal cues. Know that you can use these in any class, anytime, and you can change up anytime you want. So please feel free to use them. What happens when we make an announcement like that is that then we've set the standard for all YogaWorks classes. So even if they hear it in one, they know, like, oh, well, I can be in this class even if they didn't make an announcement, and I know that this touch signifies it. If you see someone in class and their chip is back behind their mat or with their stuff, go ahead, pick it up, remove it, and put it in the front of your mat right so you can see it. We've had teachers say, oh, I really like to have them in child's pose, and then I ask, hey, if anyone doesn't want to receive assist, put your hands up, because then it protects their privacy, nobody has to know. because yes, that can be ineffective, but we want to create something that's streamlined so that you know you can get the results you want no matter what class you go to in YogaWorks. So a student who goes to that class may want no touch, and they're waiting for the teacher to put them in child's pose so they can raise their hand, and it never happens. So this is just a really great way to be clear with our students. And the other thing too is if you have a really big class, it may be hard to remember which student put up their hand, especially if they look a little bit like the other student next to them. So please make a habit of making this announcement at the beginning of your class. So the other thing I would really like you to start talking about at the beginning of class is the announcements. And your studio manager should put something like this at the altar of all the studio classrooms. And this is basically what's going on at YogaWorks at your studio. The reason this is really important for you to talk about is because it creates a sense of community that your students are going to want to be part of. If they hear you talking about this pop-up class with Justin Temple, or a Reiki circle that's happening, or whatever the Ayurvedic workshop that's happening, they're like, oh wow, she must really be interested. And if you know something about that teacher, go ahead and add it. Like, oh yeah, this person's really good at this thing. Like, it's incredible how they work with meditation, and the sound bowls are like, woo! So you want to add your spin so that they get excited about it when they hear how you really feel about it. You saying something about any workshop or any pop-up class will get them interested in a way that a wall of signage never will. One of the things that I want to foster in our community is this connection between teachers, okay? So this is one of the ways that we can foster that connection. So, one of my favorite things about this job is being able to have a teacher come to me and say, oh my God, listen, my classes are doing awesome, I'm like blowing it up, I've been consistent for months, and I'd really like to get a wage increase. And I'm like, sweet. So what happens then is I send them a teacher self-evaluation form, they fill it out, they send it back to me, I try and go attend their class, I check out their class, and then we have a meet and greet. So I go over the numbers, I look at how their classes are doing, and I say, you know what, you're doing awesome, you really deserve this raise. But the issue is the studio is not doing well, and we can, or as well as we would like it to be doing, and we can only give you this raise. So my goal as a teacher manager is to get all of the studios healthy enough so that when I think you deserve this raise, I can give you this raise every time. And there's a few things that we can do for that that are totally within our power. So the first thing that I think we can do to change the culture at YogaWorks is to really increase our connections with teachers. So if your class is struggling, like you're not having those great numbers, there's a few things you can do. Invite teachers to come and take your class, to give you feedback, to let you know how you're doing. And this does a couple of things. One, when you have a class and there's teachers in your class, it gives you a little bit of street cred with the students that are in there because they're like, oh my God, my teacher is teaching teachers, it must be really amazing. The other thing you can do is you can say, oh everybody, here's Sarah Cook, she teaches on XYZ on these days, you should totally take her class. Sarah, what are you working on this month? Oh, we're working on handstand. If you want to do handstands, you should take with Sarah. So then they see that these teachers have this awesome relationship, they like each other, they like taking each other's classes, and more people want to be part of that community. If you are a really popular teacher, notice when teachers are in your class, see if they want to shout out, see if they have a workshop or a pop-up class coming out, and let them get to know your students. So if your numbers are struggling, one of the best things you can do is take more classes at the studio where you're teaching, because the students see you in class and they're like, oh wow, that's really a regular person. And when they know you, then they're happy to see you, to take your class, to get to know you better. This is one of the ways that we really are able to foster the relationships at YogaWorks. And by strengthening our teacher bonds, we strengthen our community at large. So I would encourage you all to try and take a new class from a teacher that you've never met before at least once a month. And to try and take classes from teachers who are doing well so that you can get to know their students and they can get to know you. And as a teacher who's teaching, notice when you have teachers in your class, give them a shout out if it's appropriate. It doesn't mean we get obnoxious with it or do it every single time, but it's really a great way to get to know each other, and that creates this sort of family, loving, connected community environment that is an awesome place to work. Okay, so what's exciting and what's new that we can do that will really bring our teacher relationships to the next level? I have a couple of ideas. The first thing I want to do is implement a yogi book club, which I really want to be a part of, which is why we're doing it, although it wasn't my idea, it was Christian Schritter's. So if you're interested in being part of the Yogi Book Club, we'll take cool yoga books. We may meet once a month, we may meet every other month, we can meet at different studios, we could have a north, a south, a midtown Yogi Book Club. I don't know what the interest will be, but after this video goes out, I will send a poll, and if you want to be part of it, you can hop on in. We're thinking of starting a Karma Yoga Club where there are several teachers that are already involved in the community that are doing outreach programs to benefit others who can't afford yoga, who can't get yoga into their communities. And we want to get them together so that they can pool their ideas and that we can communicate with them to find out how YogaWorks can serve what they're doing. So how can they use YogaWorks as a resource so that we can get that Karma Yoga out there. The other idea I have is I want to have yoga teacher parties, maybe once a month at different studios, and what we would do is maybe have an assist party where we could have potluck, bring food, but we can practice giving assists on each other for different poses. We could be like, oh, that doesn't feel good, or oh, that feels amazing, but it's really nice to get that real-time feedback when it doesn't count, it's not in class, so you can sort of fine-tune your assists. We could also do sequencing parties where we're like, okay, get from chaturanga to tree pose in 5 moves, and we could come up with some really innovative sequencing, and then you can give that teacher credit in your class. Like, oh, this is a courtesy of Jess Crowley who came up with this interesting way to get from A to Z. I just think it would be fun. We're all sort of yoga geeks. It's nice for us to have opportunities to get together and geek out. And please know these are totally optional. Everyone has lives, they're busy, they have stuff they have to do, but this is just a great way that we can do what we do even better. Okay, so what is my 3-year plan? Well, the first year, what I really want to do is transform YogaWorks and our teachers and our community by making us more united, more connected, by doing things like I already mentioned with the book club, with taking each other's classes, with having each other's back, announcing each other's pop-ups and workshops. My 2nd year plan is once we have this really firm identity in Baltimore and we are like, yeah, we rock, this is what's awesome about us, that we start getting to know the YogaWorks across the nation. So Baltimore gets to meet California or Boston or New York, and we're like, we're Baltimore, we're great because of this, New York, what you got, and we share and we get to know each other on that level. So this year I want us to get to know each other. Next year I want us to get to know all the other cities so that we can start pooling our resources, noticing what's great about each other, and opening ourselves up on a national scale. And my 3rd year is to take us internationally. So I really want to get Baltimore out there on the international stage so that the world knows why we're awesome, because I know why we're awesome. So to wrap up, I just want to say thank you for taking all this time to watch this video. I'm very sorry I didn't get to meet you in person, but I do plan to meet you. I am planning to take classes. I do want to get to know you, and if there's anything that I can do for you, any way that I can help you be even more awesome as a teacher, please reach out to me and let me know. My goal again is to connect us at YogaWorks, so when you do take classes of teachers, give them a shout out on social media, post pictures, tag your friends, let them know, and just keep being awesome at what you're doing. Thank you so much.